Welcome back. Picking up where we left off Monday, we're diving back into the situation in Syria. All this, comes from those reports from Bild, detailing, of course, Israel's military operation, the one targeting Syria's infrastructure. It's a story that's been developing so fast. We want to make sure we brought you guys the latest.
Yeah, absolutely. Changing quickly every hour, it seems like. Really major implications from all this, too.
Right. And just to kind of recap for everyone, the Syrian government collapsed. That's left this, a power vacuum. So dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of uncertainty about what happens to their military stuff,
Mm-hmm.
especially all the weapons stockpiles. And that brings us to the whole point of Israel doing this.
Yeah, for sure. These is reporting that Israel says they've taken out almost all of Syria's strategic weapons facilities in just 2 days.
48 hours.
Yeah. It's pretty amazing when you think about it. The speed, the coordination.
It is. Okay, so 350 Israeli fighter jets hitting 480 targets all across Syria. Bill D says 80% of the Syrian military is gone. Dozens of jets, helicopters, missile batteries, even ships.
Right. But we should remember, this isn't, totally new for Israel. They've always been ready to take preemptive strikes if they think something is a threat in the region. But this is different. The size, this wasn't just hitting a target. They went after everything, dismantled it.
So why now? What made them do it?
Well, Billy is saying that a key concern is stopping those weapons from getting into the wrong hands, including maybe chemical weapons. The worry is that these weapons could be taken by Islamist groups operating inside Syria and then used against Israel or their allies.
And Bill D has this quote from a politician in the CDU, the Christian Democratic Union in Germany, Paul Ziemiak. He says this was absolutely necessary. He actually uses the term Gefahrenabwehr, which basically means defense against imminent danger. It seems like they thought they had to do something now and do it decisively.
Yeah, I mean, Ziemiak's statement really shows you how worried everyone is about this, not just some hypothetical either. We've seen how easy it is for things in Syria to spill over into the other countries, breeding ground for extremism.
Right.
Yeah, and Bild has some really powerful pictures of this, showing people at a bombed-out site looking for scrap metal. And unexploded bombs. It's really a reminder that this isn't all, high-level strategy and politics. There are real people right in the middle of this.
Absolutely. We can talk all day about military strategy, international relations, but we can't forget the people.
Absolutely. It's easy to forget when you're looking at the big picture. Those pictures really bring it home, those individual stories.
Yeah. Loss, displacement, but also resilience. It's all part of this.
Yeah, this is a complicated situation, many layers to it.
Yeah. We have to consider all those layers if we want to understand what's happening and what could happen. So then what happens now? That's the big question. I mean, the Syrian military, they were a major force in the region, and now they're basically gone. It's a huge power vacuum.
Yeah.
It could be really dangerous.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about, too. You've got all these different groups in Syria, the rebels, Islamist groups, Kurdish forces. They're all fighting for control, and now the government's military is out of the picture. It's like it's going to be a free-for-all.
Exactly. And it's not just Syria's problem. You've got outside players, too. Russia, Iran, Turkey, the United States. They all have interests in the region. They have alliances. With the Syrian military gone, it could easily start a proxy war. All these powers trying to control what happens.
So this operation, they might have stopped those weapons from getting into the wrong hands. But it could also make things even more unstable in the long run.
Yeah, that's the worry. It's like unintended consequences. Things are so unpredictable there. Any action could trigger something really bad, even if they had good intentions.
Right. And then there's a whole issue of the chemical weapons. We talked about them falling into the wrong hands. Bill D mentions this report from the New York Times saying that U.S. intelligence was watching those suspected chemical weapon sites just last week.
Yeah, that was a big concern. Everyone was worried that the Syrian regime would use them as a last resort, if they thought they were losing control.
So now the government's gone. And anyone could get those weapons.
That's the worst case scenario. It's hard to say for sure where they are or who could get to them, but the risk is high. They could be looted, sold on the black market, or even used in some desperate attack.
It's scary to think about. And it's not just a theory. We've seen what chemical weapons can do in Syria.
Absolutely. Using chemical weapons is a war crime. The international community needs to do everything it can to stop it. We need coordinated action, intelligence sharing, and a clear message that those responsible will be held accountable.
So what's being done about it? What can the international community actually do?
It's really complicated, diplomatically and logistically. To secure those weapons, you need people on the ground, and that's tough in all that chaos. Plus, not everyone agrees on who should be in charge or what to do with the weapons after they're secured.
It sounds like there are no easy answers. You've got the immediate threat of those weapons, the potential for things to escalate in the region, and then the whole problem of trying to find a real solution for the Syrian conflict. It's a lot to deal with.
Yeah, it really is a lot, and it shows just how important it is to really understand the situation. What we're seeing in Syria, it's like all these crises at once: civil war, humanitarian catastrophe, regional power struggle, dangerous weapons everywhere.
Right. You're saying earlier how Israel's operation might end up making things even more unstable, even though they were trying to prevent a threat. What do you mean by that?
Sure. So basically, when Israel took out Syria's military, they might have actually made it easier for non-state actors, like terrorist groups.
Yeah.
Because now those groups, they don't have to worry about a strong central opponent. They can take advantage of all the chaos to gain more power and control more territory.
So it's almost like
Yeah.
they tried to contain these groups, but they ended up making them stronger.
Exactly. It's a real danger. It shows you how complicated things are. Sometimes military action seems justified, but it can backfire. You have to think about the unintended consequences.
It makes you think about the whole situation in Syria. What's going to happen next? With so many different groups involved and all their different goals, it's really hard to predict what the outcome will be.
It is. It really is. But it's something we have to pay attention to. Even if we don't have all the answers, we need to stay informed and think critically about what we're hearing and talk about what all this means.
Yeah, and I think that's what we've tried to do in this deep dive. We've looked at Israel's operation, why they might have done it, and how it fits into the whole Syrian conflict. We've also talked about the human cost of all this.
Yeah.
And the threat of chemical weapons.
Exactly. So to everyone listening, keep following the story. Don't just read the headlines. Look deeper, get different perspectives, ask questions. What happens in Syria matters to all of us.
That's a great point. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the situation in Syria. We'll keep an eye on things and let you know what we find out. Until then, stay informed and stay curious.